This is going to be a position to go through breathing and elongating your trunk. I'm going to show you a couple different positions so you have some options. If I'm at the stairs, I like to use 2 posts or broomsticks, right? And I want to take them up to maybe like the second step, and I'll be on the ground. And I want to take my hands up high so it does elongate my trunk. So especially if I'm a little bit collapsed forward or if I have a collapse to one side, this helps to lengthen my body. So posts on the stairs, arms up as high as comfortable, right? First thing I want to think about is very lightly pulling my shoulders down away from my ears and making sure that as I pull down, I'm not tensing through my shoulders or collapsing my elbows in. So I like to think about these posts being as wide as the steps allow, right? And I'm very lightly pushing down and pulling my shoulder blades down. Now as I do this, I have to watch that I'm going to want to collapse this way, right? So I want to think about trying to press down and pull my butt underneath me. If I have patients who have a hard time with this, I may have them start off leaning forward or with their butt out, because in this leaning forward position, it's a little easier to keep that butt tucked underneath me versus falling into this sway, right? Just so you can see from the side, I'm really trying to avoid this elevation of my rib cage. You can see my ribs kind of pop up forward. So as I press down, I may want to do that. I'm really trying to focus on the opposite, keeping my upper body still and pulling my butt underneath me to flatten my lower back. So light pressure down, pulling my shoulder blades down away from my ears, right? And trying to pull my butt underneath me, holding for 3 to 5 seconds, and relax. Okay? Each time trying to reset things. Shoulders down, feel your butt tuck underneath you. If it feels awkward, you feel like you're not getting it, or if there's any pain in your lower back, try and let yourself lean forward some. So I'm still pressing down, I'm still pulling my shoulders away from my ears, and it's that same, pulling my butt underneath me. If I lean forward some, I can even take these posts up to maybe the 3rd step. So now I'm still lengthening my arms away from my trunk, but it may be a little bit easier to get the right position of my lower back, and I can gradually work my way back up to being taller. Now, option 2 is going to be holding on to something. So maybe standing in front of your refrigerator is where I give people, right? And I can do the same thing, but now I don't have posts. Now I have the top of this refrigerator. So same thing, I want to think about lightly pulling down. You see I take my elbows and I pinch them in slightly. And I want to make sure I'm not pulling into this. I'm pulling down and feeling like I'm pulling my butt underneath me. Sometimes I'll even have people, if they're tall enough, let themselves kind of sit down onto their heels, almost like they're sitting into a chair, because that also may help them round their lower back slightly. Now in each of these positions, I like the pulling down, and I forgot to mention it on the stairs, but I'll mention it here. I also like some breathing. So once I feel like I have my shoulders down a little bit, I want to try and lightly breathe into my lower abdomen, thinking about laterally expanding here. So the cue of pushing the hands out and away, and maybe practicing that a little bit with your hands on your lower abdomen, trying to see if you can feel yourself breathe through here and not through your upper chest and shoulders. So avoiding this, trying to keep the shoulders down. So I see if I could do that in this position. So I keep my shoulders down, trying to avoid that excessive elevation, right? And I see if I can breathe into my lower abdomen. Really trying to take slow, controlled breaths, avoiding that elevation of my shoulders. Same thing can be done in sitting, facing a desk or facing a table. I can use my hands to maintain the same upright position. I'll just show you on this bar. So it's the same concept. We'll typically sit like this. I'm going to use this table, bar, even if it's a little bit lower than here, to pull me up tall. Okay? At light pressure down, so my shoulder blades are away from my ears. And I'm going to do the same, press and hold for 3 to 5 seconds, and then follow that with the same breathing. Keeping myself up tall, I must feel like I'm pulling my head up towards the ceiling and trying to breathe here, just like I did in standing. So just ways to try and break up the typical collapse of our trunk that we're in most of the day, lengthening with a little bit of tension, and then trying to breathe into the lower abdomen.